Hello Year 6, welcome to your Friday literacy video, hopefully your last ever literacy home learning video. So before you get started on your literacy work for today, I've just got a reminder on my board to do your spelling test because today is Friday. You've been practicing your spellings all week, so I want you to have a go and see what you get out of 10 in your spelling test. Okay, so remember your rule for this week is the j sound spelt with an S. So remember, like television, you hear the j sound, so television. Hear that j sound, that's spelt with an S. So have a go, try your best. Don't forget to take a quick picture of your score for me and include it on your email for today so I can see how you've all got on. Okay, so good luck with that. Your work for today then, your learning question is, can I write a description of a skill I have learned? And we're back in our writing book for today, okay? And we're moving on to page 14. So page 14 then says, think about a new skill you've learned recently. Write a description of how you learned the skill. Make sure you use the first person and the past tense and write in chronological order. Okay, so then you've got some pictures of things that you might want to write about. And on my board, I have popped some ideas. Okay, things that you might not have, and that's fine, but things that you might have learned. And it hasn't got to be recently. I think it would be quite nice if you write about a skill you've learned in lockdown, but it hasn't got to be in lockdown. It can be any skill you've ever learned. So you might have learned the skill of baking. So there might be a certain thing that you know how to bake or cook. It might be a sport. So it might be a skill to do with football or a skill to do with basketball, something like that. It might be a musical instrument. You might have learned how to play, I don't know, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on a flute. You might have learned how to do a specific type of art. You might have learned how to use watercolours, for example. I know we've done that kind of thing in school. So, for example, before Christmas, we did how to draw a cube, didn't we, in art, and how to make it look 3D. So you could maybe write about that if you're struggling. A foreign language. So you might have learned, I mean, I don't expect you to be fluent in a foreign language, but I know at least a couple of you in our literacy have learned English as a foreign language. So that could be your skill. And gardening could be a skill. You've learned how to plant a flower or plant a seed and how to look after it. Okay, so I don't really mind what skill you do. Just make sure when you think about what skill it is, think, are you going to be able to write enough about it? If not, then maybe try and think of another one. I don't really mind if you make one up. Okay, secret between me and you. Okay, so once you've picked your skill then, let's have a look at this toolkit. So this is all of the things that I want you to try your best to include in your writing today. So the first one is the same in every piece of writing, capital letters and full stops throughout. So remember last week we went over what we mean by throughout, and we mean that we haven't got just one big long sentence with no full stops, and we've remembered all of our capital letters. So remember, if you put any proper nouns in there, so any names of people, of places, then they're going to need capital letters, aren't they? Okay, and also capital letters for the beginning of every single sentence. Okay, it's written in the first person. So we went over first person on Wednesday, didn't we? Remember, first person is I. You are writing it from your perspective. So I learned a skill. I did this first, then I. So I, my, we, me, all of those pronouns. Remember, that's for the first person. We're writing in the past tense because we've already learned the skill. It's something we've already done, so it's got to be written in the past. Okay, it's already happened. So remember, we did some past tense work on Monday, all about our past tense verbs. So remember to use that within your writing today. And then it says chronological order. You also looked at this on Wednesday. Remember, chronological just means it's in the correct order. Okay, so for example, if you were you were explaining to somebody, you were describing your skill of playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on the flute. Okay, now your first thing would be, first I picked up my flute, wouldn't it? Or something like that, okay? It's not going to be, first I played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, then I picked up my flute. That doesn't make sense because it's not in the correct order, okay? So you've just got to make sure your steps are in the correct order when you write your description today. And then make sense throughout, okay? So I'll be able to tell if you have stopped and read your writing. Okay, just like I say to you in school all of the time, we've got to stop and read our writing. Okay, and you'll see when I do my model, that's what I do. I write a little bit, then I stop, I go back, read up to where I've written, and then think about what I'm writing next. Otherwise, I'll forget what I've just written, and then it won't make sense. Okay, so I have got a model for us to have a read of. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to pick it apart and show you what you need to do when you write yours today. Okay, so my skill, if you were with me for DT before Christmas and we were doing cooking, you will know that cooking/baking is not my strong point. So my skill is making Rice Krispie cakes. Okay, just like we did at Halloween. So I've started with, to make Rice Krispie cakes, the first thing I did was melt my chocolate using the microwave, okay? So I've sort of introduced here what my skill is first. So rather than just starting with, first I melt the chocolate, I have said what my skill is first, haven't I? I've said that this is my skill, this is what I'm doing, I'm making Rice Krispie cakes. So you could write something like that for yours. So for example, I don't know, if you're doing a skill in football and you've learned how to, I don't know, dribble the ball, you might say, to dribble the ball in football, the first thing you have got to do is this. And it just sort of introduces it a little bit. So the first thing I did, so I've got I here, that's my first person pronoun. Remember, it's me that's writing it, it's about me, so I'm writing it as me. So I did was melt my chocolate using the microwave. Okay, so we're writing. So the first thing I did was melt my chocolate. So we're in the past tense, aren't we? Okay, was melt my chocolate using the microwave, but I only put it in for short bursts so that it didn't burn. Okay, so I'm telling them how I did it, how I learnt my skill. Next, I added butter, and then I've added some brackets just to add a bit of extra information. Next, I added butter, which was cut into small pieces, and stirred it until it was melted. So again, we're still in the past tense, aren't we? That's really important, that your use of past tense is consistent all the way through. We can't have it all in past tense and then suddenly in the present tense. It's got to be in the past tense all the way through. So stirred it until it was melted. So we're still in the past tense. After that, okay, so I've used a time conjunction to start my next sentence. Oh, I used one here as well. Yeah, so first, second, then, next, after that, finally. You can try and get those in. So after that, I added the syrup and stirred carefully. Okay, so that's your task for today. So remember, you're on page 14. You've got all of these lines here, but please don't let that daunt you. You haven't got to fill all of the lines, but if you've got big writing, then it should fill most of it. Okay, and I'll be really looking out for lovely handwriting when you send your emails in today. Okay, so just remember, first job is think about what skill you want to tell us about, what skill you are going to describe. Remember, you can make it up if you're really struggling to think of one. Remember your capital letters and full stops throughout. Remember, it's got to be in the first person and in the past tense, and it's got to be in the right order. Okay, so I really want you to try your best today. Okay, I'll really be looking for who I think has really tried hard. Okay, and I will be able to tell. So I'll be sending some marvellous me's to those children who do really well today. Okay, so that's your literacy work for today. Good luck with that. Make sure you try your best. I can't wait to see what you all come up with on the emails later. Have a good weekend, everybody, and I can't wait to see you all in school on Monday. See you then.